Hello, everyone. I'm Matthew Allen, and welcome back to the Whatta podcast. And I can hear myself. I hated that. That was an awful, awful moment. I was able to hear myself repeating back to me, and I was like, that is the most uncomfortable thing in the world. But welcome back to the Whatta podcast as we enter into the new year. Welcome, everyone. We've made it to 2023. Now, obviously, this was not recorded January 1st like I wanted it to originally be. This is getting recorded December 31st, New Year's Eve. Now, you might be asking yourself, why did I record it a day before I usually do? And I'll tell you, it's because I'm still with family. The day of this going up, I will be driving back up to the campus to get reacclimated there. I go back out to work on the 3rd for my campus job. Uh, so I couldn't risk trying to record and export slash render and upload this video on Sunday the 1st for the 2nd because since I am on good old family Wi-Fi and I'm not hardwired, uploading a video takes upwards to 2 to 3 hours, even when it's only 30 minutes long, and that's insane. That is beyond insane, but it is the life I live. But yeah, so forgot the words that I needed to say next. Oh, so yeah, so I'm recording this on the 31st. It's a little past midday. Uh, I'm living the dream team. Uh, I was watching YouTube, that thing that I sometimes like to do until YouTube decides to anger me, and I realized that I've never really looked back on like what I do, right? This past October in 2022, I started my I ended the second year of being on YouTube. I celebrated my first year on Twitch and started year 3 for YouTube. And there have been a lot of crazy changes, and it's really interesting when you go back and you look at it. And I wanted to just kind of take a moment because I was starting to sit here and think to myself that I have no idea what I've done this past year, and that's kind of crazy. Uh, and I just know that I've done a lot. So I'm gonna try and see if I can, I don't know, look at. No, there's no way for me to filter this over here. I'm trying to see if I can take a gander at the things I've created without going through the playlist, but I think I'm gonna have to go through the playlist. Uh, Starting with the year 2 one until I figure out what's supposed to be where, if I can find it. Year 2, 365 videos. Obviously, it started in October of 2021. Uh, duh. So I'm gonna have to try and figure out when I entered the new year, which is a crazy thing to think about. Do these tell me when I uploaded the video? It does. Okay. Cool. So I'm gonna go hunt for the first one of 2022 because I'm very, very curious. Okay, so that's. Oh, I don't know what I just clicked. That was January 2nd. January 1st. Okay. I started off this year by continuing on with Resident Evil 2. We were only like 3 episodes into it, so that was like episode 4. And I started the new year with some horror. That's kind of crazy. So that was big lad. That's funny. And it's real interesting because like I look back on this, and you can also see the evolution of Kingsley's work. For those that I don't know if you've missed it, I say it like 20 times a video. Kingsley, good friend. They're the ones that do all the graphics that you see amongst both YouTube channels, on the Instagram, on the Twitter, on the Twitch. All of the like graphically designed components come from Kingsley. Um, it's really funny if you go all the way back to the start of the gaming YouTube channel, you'll see that I made an attempt at doing just sort of like meme thumbnails, and they're awful. They're the worst things you've ever laid eyes upon. But that was my first attempt, and then I gave up on doing thumbnails for a bit. because I started getting into the a video a day model, and I was like, yeah, this isn't gonna work. Trying to do a video a day and try to funny thumbnail for it. So I gave up for a bit. There were no thumbnails for months until we got into 2021 around March, where we where we started to get some for Subnautica, and then it took off from there. And so you kind of see the midpoint between where we currently are in the graphically designed nature of Kingsley and where we started with some of these thumbnails. Oh, that's crazy. Resident Evil, Gears of War. Yeah, I was playing that then. Oh, and Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. It's interesting to kind of look back and see what I was playing. I started Bioshock 2 not long after that. Oh, that's fun. Need for Speed Rivals. Oh, I'm still playing Rivals. Haven't I finished? I've entered this new year playing Most Wanted, the original, and then I played Payback between Rivals and this one. A little bit of Hot Wheels Unleashed, the new game. But I haven't touched since using it for the co-op drives because I don't know, I just haven't had the time to. Oh, Max Payne. Oh, I'm kind of just gonna use this entering the New Year's to kind of look back on some of this work from the previous year. But man, Max Payne was a pain. All the pun intended. It was stupid, ridiculously hard for no good reason. It kicked my butt every time because I'm just really bad at older games. You know, that's just is the case. We started Spider-Man for the PS4, Halo Combat Evolved. Oh, man, I did a lot. Did I finish Max Payne? Oh, this must be before I started adding like end at the end of at like the end of big long running series, because I started to do that so that way both people who decide to go and watch, if they're out there, and also Kingsley, when they get thumbnail title information, would know that that game in particular has finished. I started putting the end. I didn't realize I wasn't doing that before then. I didn't start that until at some point in in the past year, and that's kind of crazy. I didn't think about that. You know, Halo Combat Evolved, Spider Man. We were still in Rivals. This is when we were still getting a lot more of the kind of jokey thumbnails and titles because it's just a thing. It's just how it be. The first Wolfenstein. Oh, that's wild. I didn't realize that was this year. Kind of thought it. Playing so many games, everything feels like it's 10,000 years ago, when in reality it is not, and that's kind of crazy. So we started Wolfenstein. Wow, Wolfenstein and Spider Man ran for a while. I think I was just doing 2 games at that point. Uh, and then I bumped it to try and do like 3 because of Co-op Summer, I'm pretty certain. Finished Wolfenstein. Does that have the end attached to it? I want to check. I'm curious. All right, so that's the start of the end of like putting end on there. Was it Wolfenstein or was it the one before Wolfenstein? This is curious information, you know? What was before it? Halo Combat Evolved. Do you have end? Oh, Halo Combat Evolved says ending. It doesn't say end. It says ending. That's hilarious. Oh my god, I've never looked at any of this. So Wolfenstein is where I officially started where it says end. Quantum Break, which was a very interesting game, but it could have been better. We started Co-op Summer. I've scrolled all the way into the summer. We had Gears of War 2. Oh god, Crash Bandicoot. I forgot about that. We ended it. Oh right, I did all the Spider-Man DLC. I forgot. What makes a hero? Yep, that's when I put end on there. Much shorter open world game than I expected, you know, especially in comparison to the only other 2 open world games on the channel. They're kind of intense. Cooperative Chaos. Wow. Resident Evil 3. Oh, I do remember that. I thought that game was gonna be better and it was not. Crash Bandicoot killed me. Crash Bandicoot had the shortest episodes of, like, willingly, of any franchise. I've lost my mouse. There it is. Of, like, any franchise I had done so far on the channel, because that just felt correct. As did the Resident Evil 3 videos at times, because we were using. What were we using? We were using the what's that thing called? Zoom. The Zoom recording function. Oh my gosh, I hadn't even thought about that in a while. Uh, Obviously, I've upgraded slightly to different things. Oh, this might be. This is the era of me recording face cam footage separately from game footage, and then putting them together in an editing software that was too much for my desktop to handle. But it was the only thing I could use because it was free. And then waiting hours and hours for it to finish editing the video before I could then upload it. So this was probably the most time-consuming portion of the channel, because it would record a separate file. I would edit it together and do my best to match up the sync clip that I had. um, I would record. It was a whole mess because I'm not a good editor, but I'm way better when I have actual software that I'm good with, which requires having desktop software that can handle it, and I have none of those things. Man, I really forgot about this. So that was a lot of the editing phase, trying to put it all together. Oh, and this is the shift occurred. When did that just happen? Oh, it happened in the midst of the Spider-Mans. I have to go all the way back. The current style of Kingsley thumbnails started in the middle of like the Spider-Man, Wolfenstein, Need for Speed Payback era. Yeah, where it switched from, I don't know if anyone ever noticed, but like there was the original version where everything just kind of looked like uh it was just someone's meme brain came to life in a thumbnail. And then we had the era where it was game case image on the right, all the fun images on the left, title of the video was in top left, and the part number was in the bottom right. And now we have transported into the case image in the center, my logo in the top right, some stuff in the bottom left. There was a lot of transitioning occurrences here. The funny images for the title would surround two on each side. There's always four. I've never questioned it. I just accepted that that's a nice even number that probably helps convey the memery that was still at play in making thumbnails, and is going to probably continue to be in play until Kingsley decides to try something new. The Sunday drives got their more consistent one. That's when I think at this point I'd given up on giving either. Did Sunday drives used to have actual titles? No, it was just Sunday drive, but they always had some interesting image related to driving. That used to be the thing. And now they're more concise. They're a little more simplistic, and that's perfectly fine. I remember once discussing with Kingsley, they were like, they stated that they wanted to go back and make thumbnails for all the stuff that didn't have thumbnails before, and I talked them out of it because I personally enjoy getting to look back at that bit of history and being like, this is how it started, you know. It doesn't sound like a lot, but 3 years, or at least 2 full years, and being still in the midst of the third year is that's a lot. It's very crazy, and so like I was like, I want to leave this how it is, because that would be that tells you the rich tale of the channel. And I know you guys are here to hear more about like more interesting news topics than this. I'm sure someone wants to hear me talk about Glass Onion because I watched that, Violent Night because I watched that, but I really wanted to take this time in what would normally be a What a Book to just kind of look back at the things that I've made, and I'm hopeful that everyone else is on board for that. You know. All right, so getting back to where I was, because I scrolled back and I don't remember where I left off. I know I was in the midst of looking at the co-op summer stuff, but yeah, co-op summer was really packed this year, and I did that to myself. I had three games that were cooperative. Sunday Drive that was cooperative, so that's 4 games. And then I was doing the streams with Jade. Good old Jade, friend of the channel. You're probably gonna get, if I'm gonna probably stick a little announcement in either at the end of this one or in 3 weeks. Yes, because the next 2 weeks are gonna be Whatta books. So you're gonna get a Whatta book on the 9th. You're gonna get a Whatta book on the 16th in order to make up for me having to skip Whatta book this week, and then it's gonna go back to the flip flopping. So there is a possibility that on the 23rd you're gonna get a proper announcement from me about the stuff that's going to happen uh, henceforth onward with Jade and the channel, because we're making some exciting changes together that we're trying to work on. We're trying to figure out how it's going to work, and so we're doing our best to figure it out. But yeah, I had a really packed co-op summer. That was so wild. Oh, we broke Gears of War for a bit. Found out about that weird bug. Oh, what else did we do? Oh, no, Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. I forgot about that. Oh, that's so bad. That one was so bad. Life is Strange Before the Storm. That was a fun time. I really am a big fan of choice-based games, so that was a really good time. I really enjoyed that. Oh, this co-op summer was crazy. We started Marvel's Avengers, which was a very long game, and in all fairness, I'm sure it's more fun if you have friends, but it was a bit boring. Uh, I almost forgot that I remembered that it occurred, and I remember it lasted long. Oh, really? We started God of War's franchise this year? Started it in the middle of the summer in July. I didn't realize I cranked out two God of Wars in the same year. I'm telling you, when you try to make as much as I was trying to force myself to do, you kind of lose track of what happens when. Until you do something like this and you look back on it and you're like, wow, this is okay, yeah. Oh, we did a lot of that. Scorpion's killing it. We started Kingdom Hearts. That was a fun one. That franchise still holds near and dear to my heart. I remember watching my older sister play that one. I watched her play the second one, and then I was gifted Recoded for the DS. Yeah, uh, which I never beat, but I'm gonna go back one of these days on my own and beat that thing. I was gifted Dream Drop Distance later on when I got a 3DS, and then that came out, and I haven't beat that either. I even have a little book that's supposed to tell me like where all the secret stuff is. That way I can be extra like beasted in the game, and I struggle. I really do. Uh, but like I'm gonna really try to come back to those, and honestly, I wish there was an easy way to record DS and 3DS games because I would love to bring all of those nonsensical things to the channel because they're just so much fun. But the only way I'd be able to do that is if I went and like found emulators, which isn't as much fun, or if I found some way to jerry rig the devices. I've been trying to look into it, and that's not gonna happen because it's like either you got to go pay someone to attach stuff to the system, and thus like breaking the system technically, or I'd have to go like set up my phone to record the screen, and I was like, oh, that's lame. So I'm not doing that. Uh, Continuing onward. What else did I do? What else is still here in this portion? Obviously, this particular playlist of games that we're looking at is going to end when it hits the date was the not whatever that month is before October. That's September, right? 30 days has September, so September 30th. Yeah. Did we finish Marvel's Avengers before that? No, we didn't. We got really close. We kind of closed out that second year with that, and then we started our third year, year three with Alan Wake. Uh, it's always been the thing for the channel that I play something either incredibly horror or horror related. Uh, I think I missed out on Bendy and the Ink Machine being at the beginning of year two. If I pop back into that playlist real quick, I have to find it. I did. I don't. Oh, I didn't even acknowledge Bendy and the Ink Machine or Man of Medan, which were the starts of that year, as well as Monster Hunter World. I accidentally skipped over those two. No, I didn't. Haha. I forgot I was looking at 2022 and not the YouTube years. So I didn't leave those out in case anyone's wondering. I'm just slow. No, but yeah, I start with a horror game, I always try to because it's the thing that started the channel. Technically, BioShock isn't a quote unquote horror game, but it's pretty spooky. Uh, its atmosphere is built to be terrifying, especially as the character you're playing as is just a person. Uh, Obviously, in the second game, when you're playing a Big Daddy, that's what those creatures are called. It gets a little less spooky because you're a little more powerful, but it's still just as difficult of a game. But Alan Wake, we had some fun with that. We were still playing Payback. Devil May Cry started pretty soon afterwards because we finished Marvel's Avengers, and that was an interesting thing. That was another case of like this is an old game, and so the controls are messing me up, type thing. Uh, but I got through it. I remember it. You know, we played Brothers. We played Fear 2. Uh, Brothers was an interesting experience. It's only like 3 episodes long, but it's a beautiful game. It's very heart wrenching. It's not multiplayer, but you could play it with another person, uh, because you would just have to awkwardly share the controller. Oh, Little Nightmares got started. God of War 2. I really didn't realize how close together God of War 1 and 2 were for the channel because God of War 2 was in November. God of War 1 was in July, so that's only like 5 months apart. That's kind of crazy. And if anyone is curious, um, the reason I started with the original games is because the story of Kratos that started up again in 2018's God of War is still a continuation of that same Kratos, and I knew nothing about his whole anything for these games. I was just like, he kills the gods, and he doesn't even kill gods like plural. My whole knowledge base apparently has been God of War 3, and I didn't know that, so I was very curious to get through this franchise. You just watch and listen to me recap everything. So I did that. I played Little Nightmares. That was sweet and short and way more horrifying than it had any right to be. I had a lot of struggling with the PS3 at this time. A lot of the games started to end up having to be shorter videos because it would just kind of cut out and me attempting to record. I had finished Payback at this point. Finished it really close to the end of October, and so I was able to start up Most Wanted. I was originally going to play The Crew. No one knows this. I was originally going to play The Crew, but I didn't know that the Xbox 360 version of the game, all of its servers have been shut down apparently. So it's impossible to play on that system. And you have to buy, I think, an Xbox One version of the game if you wanted to play it on like the One or the Series X with those servers. And I wasn't gonna go buy a new version of the game, especially because I needed to record like the next day. Like I was trying to do the preemptive setup, make sure everything worked. So I ended up going to the fallback of Need for Speed Most Wanted. And I've been having a fun time. That game is a little more difficult. It's an older racing game. It's from like 2005. I'm playing it on a PS2, but it's been a blast. I've been enjoying it. With Fear 2, God of War 2, they ran the course for a good chunk of time. And then we kicked in uh we kicked in the door at the end of November. We started Batman Arkham Asylum, Resident Evil 4. Oh, it's just been it those were fun things to start. I've always been a fan of the Arkham games, and I own them all, but I'd never finished any of them. The first time I finished Origins was for the channel in my first year because I was like, it's set around Christmas. I'll play it for Christmas, which was a dumb decision, because that game was not fun in the way that I was playing it. But I had a lot more fun playing Arkham Asylum this time than I had Origins. I enjoyed the combat. I enjoyed the story. I was blasting along, and so that was fun. Uh, Much more recently, started Metal Gear Solid. Just looking at this playlist, yeah. Finished Batman. Batman finished a lot quicker than I had like thought it was going to. So right now we've just been running with Metal Gear Solid. We've been running with Resident Evil 4, Need for Speed Most Wanted, and that's just sort of what's been continuing onward. Obviously, there's some new stuff that's gonna start this month. I know what it is. You guys will get to find out on the first. So by the time this comes out, you'll have already known, unless I forgot to post it. But it's Wolfenstein 2, the original Mafia. Those will be joining the channels, and I'm really excited to see them come up this month. Uh, yeah, but that is the previous year. There's one day I'd like to go back to BioShock, like the original. I'd love to go back to all of those games that I played at the beginning. I'd love to play them again, whether it's some form of newer version or just me at the game again, with new eyes, a new lens. Because when I started, I really was just like, I want to get these games out to you guys. But now I have my face cam, I have my funnier commentary. I think it's funnier. I have me like really enjoying what I'm doing a lot more than I did back then, and so it'd be great to be able to have a moment to go back and like experience all of this with you all again, because that would be a fun time. Uh, but yeah. So as I near the end of this, as I look back at that year, obviously, I've got to take a moment to acknowledge. This might end up being a bit of a longer video. I've got to take the moment to acknowledge as well the streams. Obviously, the coolest thing that we did this year over on Twitch is I became a Twitch affiliate. Uh, for those that don't know what that means, I can get paid. People are allowed to donate if they want. I think as of now, I've got like 79 followers. I know there's at least 6 people that are subscribed. It's really cool. Uh, it's gonna be a while before I actually get to willingly see the money come from Twitch, but I've at least hit a point where I can make that happen, and I think that's really cool. I didn't actually ever think that that was gonna be something I could do, but here I am, being able to state aloud that is indeed a thing I'm capable of doing now, through Twitch, and that's so cool. It's gonna be a long time before either YouTube channel, whether here at What a Channel or over at the Soloist, is ever gonna be able to kind of reach that same height. But I've been able to do that through Twitch. Obviously, the early days of the Twitch is lost to time, and I do feel really bad about that, because I didn't realize that connecting the Twitch account to the YouTube account didn't automatically allow videos to export. It was something I had to do manually. So there are about 2.5 months of videos that have been lost to time, which is a little sad. But it is what it is. It just means that the original playthrough of Dead Space is gone. But I know there's that remake coming out that I don't want to touch, but I'm sure I'll probably touch it at some point, and that'll probably make up for that original one being missing. Uh, Dante's Inferno is missing. I would love if they remade that game because it's a lot of fun. I think the starting of no, Red Dead Redemption came later. I don't remember what other games are missing from the streams. I cannot remember from the top of my head. But it doesn't start until I think really early on in Final Fantasy 13 2. That's when we see a lot more of that pop up. You can kind of see the transition I've made as a streamer. I think some of the Hades gameplay is missing as well. Because when I started, I would 4 hours. Um, It was only I think it was originally only Friday, Saturday, and then sometime in the midst of this year, I transitioned to Saturday, Sunday, because that was a little easier for me to do, especially because I cut it down to 2 hours. In the summer, I streamed like every other day. I tried my best to. We played a lot of games. Essentially, the entirety of the past Twitch stream playlist is just this past year, which is kind of crazy. Final Fantasy 13 2, which we just recently finished, so that took like a whole year. Red Dead Redemption 2, which itself almost took like the whole year. I'm currently playing Undead Nightmare. I think that's kind of crazy. I finally got to finish that game. Obviously that's a beloved game for a lot of people. So I'm glad that I had the opportunity to play it. Hotline Miami 1, Hotline Miami 2. Early on in the streaming realm, I don't think I had a face cam yet. It was just me streaming from the system. So every game that I played, it was like, okay, what can I stream from the system? And that was it. That's how I did it all. Eventually, once I got a desktop, I was able to stream through the desktop once I had gotten all that figured out. Uh, it started a little slow to try and figure that out. I was using like Twitch's little beta Studio to stream, and that was a little iffy. And then I found out about OBS later, and so that's kind of been the evolution of the streams has been OBS. So it started out just with me, the face, and then I added me, the face, and the little bar, the follower goal, and that's been something. And as of October, we added in the me, face, the follower goal, the game, and also the chat. Now the chat can be visibly seen on the screen. That means that when I go and export the video, people aren't just getting to hear me respond to the chat, because I don't always respond to everything. And now that it's on the screen, people will get the opportunity to see it, which is a lot better for them. But we played a lot. Jedi Fallen Order, I know a new one is coming out soon, inevitably. Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, which was stupidly hilarious for like all the worst reasons. We did co-op summer. We carried it over to the stream with Jade. We did Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game. We played The Quarry. I played Evil Dead, the game, on my own. What else do we do? Cyberpunk 2077. The Quarry was a really fun time. That was in the summer. There was no face cam. Jade didn't want to be on camera, and that is perfectly fine. I always respect those decisions. I always ask everyone, hey, do you want to be on camera or no? Because that changes up how I record things, you know. But like we did The Quarry, and that was just the most fun that I gotten to have in a choice-based game in a long, long time. Uh, the acting, the controls, they changed some stuff up, and like the music, it was a really good story. And while it's not that long altogether, the game is like, I don't know, I'd say roughly 10 hours, because it's like 4 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours, roughly, based on how we played it. We did get a character killed, so who knows. But it's like a 10-hour game. You know, we finished up Scott Pilgrim. I finally got to more recently put in the version, the missing episode of Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game. Uh, and then like the final episode, you know, we did the movie mode of the Quarry. That was the first time I ever tried that. I did a return to Final Fantasy 13 2 and Red Dead Redemption, and this is when we start to see the 2 hour long videos make a precedence. Uh, you know, after the Quarry, it kind of shortens down. I stopped doing 4 hour videos. I realized it doesn't help me to sit here for 4 hours, especially at that point in time. I wasn't an affiliate. You know, I was still just trying to get all the things I needed, and I was like, no one's watching. I was starting to get a little defeated about it. Obviously, I eventually kept grinding forward, and as you can see, I've made it to the point I wanted to be at, and I think that's great. Uh, we started playing Mirror's Edge. That was a parkour game. That was a little old. Some of its controls are a little janky, and that's in part of the older controller just kind of being janky. But it was still beautiful. Loved it. Had a good time. Made it through Hades. October 1st rolled around, and I did the wildest thing I've ever done, and I streamed for 24 hours straight. Uh, that's up there. It's been split into 3 parts because YouTube doesn't allow videos longer than 12 hours. And so it's like a 10-hour video, a 10-hour video, and then a 4 hour video. It's insane. I got to play Dead Space 2, and that was awful. Telltale's The Walking Dead, that was a good time. And then I got to start Little Hope before having to carry that on beyond the first because I didn't get to finish everything in time. I played one episode of The Last of Us, and then I kind of gave up because I wasn't having it. I don't know what it was about how that game was going, where I really wasn't enjoying it. But I think that's because I think I played this the day after, or the week after. Yeah, I played it the week after. I wasn't really feeling it, and so I've just never gone back to it. I played Cyberpunk. I played Little Hope. I finally made it to be an affiliate. My first affiliate stream, as the Cyberpunk video is labeled, was on October 15th, uh, which was kind of crazy. I was really hoping to hit it on that first. It would have been really nice, but obviously, I'll take what I can get. We started Dead Rising. I took a moment to just kind of do some stuff, to do a stream with Luke. We played Duck Game. That was kind of crazy. Extending that for 2 hours kind of felt wild. Finished, what is this called? Finished Dead Rising out. It took a lot longer than I thought it might, but then again, I was doing shorter videos. I ended up finishing Mirror's Edge right after that. I didn't realize how close to the end of the game I was. Continued out with Hades. Managed to finish that, and I thought that was kind of crazy. I was so excited about that. I was like, that's so cool. I still don't know what's in the epilogue, but I was really excited about that one. And then I came back to Red Dead, uh, and I recently beat it. That's not up on YouTube yet. That's gonna go up next week. But I beat Red Dead, and I thought that was crazy. I beat Final Fantasy 13 too. The ending for that is up there. And so I've been like, it's been crazy. I started Undead Nightmare because I literally don't have access to any of the other games in my collection right now. Because again, I'm home with family, and so I was like, that's kind of crazy. Obviously, here on this channel, we started in the midst of this past year. We started. We were just what a thought. It was just the podcast. They were an hour long. They always felt a little more tedious because they were that length. I never felt like I was giving you guys everything I wanted to give you. Uh, and then we started What a Book, and those were an hour long, and those felt significantly more suited for that time frame. And I've been having a lot of fun with both of these so far. We've obviously seen the transitions for What a Thought. It's cut down to 30 minutes. And I always usually fill a little more than 30 minutes, which is always fine. Obviously, right now, this is the longest it's been in a while. And that's perfectly fine because I've just sort of been recapping the year as a creator. Uh, and I'm just really excited to continue on with both of these. I love reading these books. I'm having a great time reading these books. I love talking about these random things. The amount of stuff that friends have told me, and they've been like, you need to talk about this." I'm like, "Yeah, I will talk about this because it's interesting." It has just been wonderful. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but Luke, friend of the channel, was on for Gears of War 2 for Co-op Summer. They reached out to me and they were like, "Hey, you've been to the Bass Pro Pyramid. You talked about the pyramid before, but that was before you ever went. Now you've been, and I've been. I want to come on and talk with do a co-op sit down talk about the pyramid." And I was like, "Dope, let's do it." And so that's something like I haven't never planned out what I'm gonna talk about. I just look at my notes usually. So I'm like, that's exciting. I'm looking forward to doing that revisiting of the Bass Pro Pyramid. It's just the things that I'm gonna do that are gonna be coming out. They're so cool. I'm so excited. So I've got that stuff to look forward to. Over for gaming, we're doing a lot of changes. As I mentioned earlier, I'm working with Jade right now. Jade, both of us were certified as editors for Adobe Premiere Pro, but I haven't had the chance to really use it because I don't have the software. I don't have the money. Um, but Jade has been able to keep up and does work that requires her to still have that software. So if she does have it, she's been doing some editing, and so we're working out changes to the gaming channel, which will also lead to changes for the Twitch to have at least an edited video. And so we're trying to figure out how that's going to work, how long she would need she was to do a video, and we're working on that to the best of our abilities. And I'm really excited for that. As it's going to come kind of close to the end of January, because we really needed this time early on to figure out some stuff. So it's still the same usual for me of like the once a day, but like once we have that figured out, obviously I'll announce it to you guys proper. But until then, like it's just it's gonna be the same as usual. But just know that there are changes coming, and I'm just so excited about that. So thank you guys so much for listening to this What a Thought podcast. If there are other things that you guys enjoyed and wanted to talk about from the previous year that you hope to either improve upon or recreate, depending on what it is, or just new things that you're hoping to achieve as the year goes forward, leave them down in the comments. I want to hear about them. I'd love to talk about them. So thank you guys so much. I've been Matthew Allen. This has been episode 42 of the What a Thought podcast. We've made it into a new year, everyone. And I'm so glad that we could. Make sure to keep doing the things that make you feel great, that make you happy. I understand that sometimes in this world, in this life, it's a bit of a struggle, but as long as you keep pushing forward, as long as you keep striving to do the things that you want to do, as long as you keep growing in the ways that you want to be, you'll do it. You're gonna make it. I know that you will. There are times where I've thought, man, why am I doing this? And I was like, because I want to. Because I'm intrigued to know what I could make of this if I keep going with it. And that's all you need is that little bit of intrigue. And if you're intrigued just a little bit, follow it. See where it leads. So I've been Matthew Allen. This has been the What a Thought podcast, and I will see all of you next week. Happy New Year, everyone.